Tanny Cooks here, and today I am so happy to be in the kitchen cooking. It is October, so it is fall, the weather is cooling down, and it is my favorite season for cooking because I love all of these delicious recipes I've been wanting, but it's been too hot to cook over the summer, and now is a perfect time. So today I'm going to show you how to make the absolutely best chili in the slow cooker. So let's get to cooking. So these are the ingredients we'll be using for our crock pot chili. So I have this ground chuck. It is 80% lean, 20% fat. It's a total of 3 pounds, so each pack is about 1.5 pounds. You could use ground turkey, ground chicken. I have diced tomatoes, 28-ounce can. You can see the sodium in it, 180 milligrams per serving. I also have a can of crushed tomatoes. These are canned because it's not tomato season where I live. You can see the sodium in this, 140 milligrams. If you can get canned tomatoes with no sodium added or low salt, that'd be better. I like to use roasted red bell peppers that I have on hand in my refrigerator. I have my seasonings, parsley, no salt. No salt Tony's adds a nice flavor, as well as ground cumin, dried celery flakes, chili powder by Badia. I have dark red kidney beans. I love me some red beans. They are full of fiber for you. And I have black beans, 1 can, 120 calories. And this is the secret, y'all, some baking cocoa powder. You do not want to leave this out. Watch how we use this. And then, of course, I have garlic and onion. Now, to garnish, I have spring onions from my indoor garden. And then we also have Mexican cheese and sour cream. So let's get started with browning up our ground beef. So I'm going to add seasonings to each level of this dish. So now at the meat level, I'm adding black pepper, garlic powder. You want to add the seasonings to your taste. Onion powder. Since this is 3 pounds, I am using quite a bit. If you're making a smaller one, then you can start off with just a tablespoon of garlic powder, onion powder. Sprinkle a little bit of cumin until you know that that's a flavor you like. Chili. I've made this so much though, I'm just seasoning by sight and smell. I definitely like this Tony's no salt because I use more of it and I don't worry about my dish becoming overly salty. And I'm using this salt alternative called no salt. Parsley. So you cook down your meat and you look at all of that oil and fat. Now that fat is flavor, but we definitely don't want our chili to be greasy. So we're going to drain this fat off of the beef. So here's my beautiful crock pot. I am adding my 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. Now I'm adding my 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. If you only have one or the other, you can certainly use all diced or all crushed, but I like the combination. And then later on, I'll add more tomatoes if I feel like I need it. So now I'm adding seasonings to my sauce level. So the cumin, celery flakes, chili powder. And again, we're going to add some and then we're going to taste it later on as it cooks and we'll adjust the seasoning as needed. I'm adding my roasted red peppers. So I drained out the liquid and I'm just going to add all of the peppers. You can use fresh bell peppers if you prefer. I like to have this on hand for the times that I don't have it fresh. I have some in my refrigerator. So now I let my meat cool a bit and I have the cool water running down my faucet as I drain my meat. I know you're not supposed to drain it in the sink, but it's just a little bit so it shouldn't hurt, right? So now I'm adding my ground beef to my crock pot. And y'all, it smells amazing already and the crock pot just barely started cooking. So you want to give your meat and sauce a gentle toss. And after you add your meat, this is the point where you can determine if it's the perfect ratio of meat to sauce, or if you need more meat, or if you need more sauce. So this is the pan that I cooked my meat in. I'm left a little bit of the fat from the ground beef in the pan in order to saute my onions and garlic. No reason to let that good flavor go to waste, right? So we're going to saute this on a medium heat, and I'm going to add seasonings to this aromatics level. So I'm adding garlic powder, cumin, celery flakes, I'm sorry, not celery seed. Although I do have celery seed in my spice cabinet. I might give you a tour of my spice cabinet in a future video. But yeah, saute your vegetables until they're translucent. And then Look at how beautiful our crock pot looks now, y'all. So I decided that I want more sauce, so I added another 28-ounce can of crushed sauce. I'm cooking for a crowd, so, and I want it a little bit looser. Look at how beautiful. You can absolutely make this on the stove, but using the crock pot lets you put everything together and forget about it for a while. So after giving it a taste, I'm adding more chili powder. After all, this is a chili dish. And because I added that extra can of sauce, I also needed extra seasonings. But we are not done with our seasonings yet. Stay tuned to see the extra things we add. So now we're adding the sauteed onion and cocoa powder. This really helps transform the flavor of your canned tomatoes. And liquid smoke, we're using meat. That liquid smoke adds a delicious level. You don't want to skip either of those options, liquid smoke and cocoa powder. It will not taste like chocolate. It will not taste like dessert or brownies, I promise you. Many cultures add cocoa into their savory dishes as well. Look at how beautiful it is, y'all. So I have it on high for 4 hours. It's only been going for 30 minutes and it's already looking and smelling delicious. So now while that's going, it's time to make my good old sweet buttermilk cornbread. So use whole buttermilk, not the low-fat kind, whole fat. I always use Kerrygold butter in my cornbread and my cakes. I'm using eggs, and I'm making a double batch for a 13 by 9 pan, so that's why I have 4 eggs. All-purpose flour, cornmeal, and I won't need that cooking spray because I have actual butter, and then baking soda. So I'm using a 13 by 9 pan. I like mine fluffy. So you want to let your buttermilk, eggs, and butter sit on the counter to get to room temperature. So since this is a double batch, I'm using 2 cups of buttermilk, whole fat buttermilk. I'm using 2 sticks of butter. I know, y'all, I know. It seems like a lot because it is, but it's going to taste like it's worth every calorie, I promise you. This is a special occasion meal for the fall, not an everyday dinner, okay? So now I'm going to use 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and you'll notice I'm using 2 scoops. I'm using a scoop to pull the flour out of my container into my measuring cup. That way the flour is not compressed into my cup, giving me more flour than I intend on. So definitely do this when you're baking cornbread or cakes. Drop your flour into your measuring cup. Just don't use your measuring cup to scoop it up because you'll end up getting too much, and that might be why your cake or cornbread is too dense. Now I'm going to do 2 cups of cornmeal. And I like these little storage containers that I have. So I'm just pouring my cornmeal over my storage container that it's going to be poured into anyway. I think I got these containers from Walmart. So now that I have my dry ingredients, I'm going to give them a mix, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I keep my baking soda in a plastic bag because baking soda is known to absorb odors, but when I'm using it for cooking, I don't want any other odors, so keep it in a plastic baggie. Okay, there is our dry ingredients, and now we're just going to add some salt. Just a pinch of salt, a couple of small pinches, so I just poured that in my hand and gave it 2 little pinches. And now mix until everything is incorporated evenly. I love using yellow cornmeal. Now I'm going to add some sugar. Remember, this is sweet buttermilk cornbread. So I'm going to add 1.5 cups of white sugar. I know, it's just the Southern thing, y'all. We like our sweet cornbread, what can I say? But I have to have the buttermilk flavor too. It's a nice complement. So for my 2 sticks of butter, I am going to put them in my pan and actually heat them up in my pan in the oven, and so they become melted. So that way I grease my pan as well as have melted butter to add to my cornmeal mix. I'm cracking my eggs. I crack them in a separate bowl in case any piece of eggshell accidentally gets in it. It's easier to scoop it out just like I'm doing here, instead of having to go into the main mixture bowl and try to fish out some shells. So always crack your egg separately. Also, if the egg happens to be bad, that way you don't ruin your whole dish. It's easy to just dispose of it. So I'm using 4 eggs because this is a double batch. These are beautiful eggs as well. Look at that beautiful color of those yolks. And now I'm adding my 2 cups of buttermilk. And that's all to it. I don't know why people buy boxed cornbread mix. It's really not that hard or complicated. And most people have all of the ingredients on hand, maybe except for the buttermilk. So just give it a gentle stir. You just want to mix until everything is fully incorporated. The eggs, the flour, you want to scrape the sides of the bowl so that everything is mixed, so there are no dry patches in your baked cornbread. The buttermilk is very fragrant. If it's an item that you grew up eating, it'll bring back nice memories. Well, for those of you who like buttermilk anyway. And there it is. It looks like cake batter. So I took my hot pan out of the oven. My butter is melted. And you're probably thinking, is all that butter necessary? Yes, because we want this cornbread to be moist, not dry and crumbly. That's Kerrygold butter. So I put a trivet on my countertop for my hot pan. And I'm just going to mix my cornbread batter until the butter is fully incorporated. So 2 sticks of butter is 1 cup of butter. Each stick is half a cup. And remember, most people are only going to eat 1 piece of cornbread, 2 at most. So it's not like one person is eating this whole pan and eating the whole 2 sticks of butter. So it looks excessive, but you can work it into a balanced diet if you adjust everything else that you eat. So you can see that it is becoming more and more incorporated. We're going to mix until we don't see any separate butter. And we're just about there. Look at that. That's our sweet buttermilk cornbread mix. So the last thing we need to do is just pour into our pan that is already greased with the melted butter. This is a 13 by 9 rectangle pan. So I'm making a double batch because I like my cornbread thick like cake. I do not like thin cornbread. And we're going to bake this in the oven at 350 degrees. Every oven is different, so you want to check it at 30 minutes. I cooked this for about 40-45 minutes, and I added a spat of butter on top, y'all. I couldn't help myself. But you'll see the edges are slightly browned. So you'll smell it in your oven, and you just want to make sure the center is completely cooked through, so you can pierce it with a fork or a toothpick. So I'm just going to cut a piece to show you guys. You want to let your cornbread cool down so that it firms up a bit. And I like nice size pieces, so that's what you're going to see here. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. You gonna eat your cornbread. It's beautiful. It is golden. So now we're going to let that sit. And now we're at the last 30 minutes of cooking our chili. So we're going to add our rinsed off black beans and kidney beans. I rinsed them off in the sink. And I don't add them in the beginning because I don't want them to become complete mush after cooking 4 hours. So the last 30 minutes or so, add your cooked beans. I love the color. I love the extra nutrition and the extra heartiness that beans add to chili, but you could certainly leave them out if you want to, or you could leave out the meat and make it vegan and just use the beans and all the other ingredients. The choice is really yours. Look at how beautiful that is. So this is my crock pot slow cooked chili with cocoa and liquid smoke. It is so delicious and flavorful. This freezes well too. So I made some to-go plates for my loved ones, and they absolutely adored this dish. The cornbread is amazing. The chili is fantastic. Y'all, I ate this bowl of chili, and I completely forgot that I didn't add my cheese or sour cream garnish on top. It's that delicious. You don't even need anything else. Please make this recipe and leave me a comment about how it turned out for you. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel and help me get to my first 1,000 subscribers.